All right, I'm back and we're ready to work on some problem set work. Let me zoom in here for us. Perfect. All right, get your name on the paper. Perfect. I am going to, can't do it with my screen up, so I have to minimize my face so that I can lay my screen down and do the work with you. All right, so let's get to work. All right, let's read the directions together now. And it says show the, oh, fat highlighter. Sorry, guys. All right, let's fix that. All right, show the numbers on the place value chart using digits. Use less than, greater than, or equal to compare. Explain your thinking in the space to the right. Now, one of the ways that I remember less than versus greater than is if you think of what shape an L is, and if we took that shape, oh, I can't turn it on this one, but if you turn that a little bit, it would look, oh no, Mr. Briggs, come on. It would look just like this one. So less than is like a squished L turned sideways, and greater than goes the other way. So that's a way that I've always remembered it. If it helps you, great. If not, I'm sorry. We'll have to remember it in a different way. So let's go ahead and start comparing numbers. Now, the best way to compare decimals, and I didn't talk about in the concept development, but it happens when we're using place value charts, and it happens when we are lining up place values, but it ends up having the effect of lining up our decimal place. And if we line up our decimal place and work from there, then everything is always going to be aligned. So we see that there's 3 tens, 4 ones in the one number, and we have 223 thousandths, right? Let me erase that out of the way. And then our other number is 3 tens, 4 ones, and 232 thousandths. So with the use of a place value chart and with the use of lining up the decimal, we can quickly compare our numbers and see that the number on the right was greater. So we would open the mouth towards the bigger number. Now, when we read it, we have to use that little trick. That kind of looks like the L shifted sideways. So when we read this, it's 34 and 223 thousandths is less than 34 and 232 thousandths. Great job. All right, let's move down and let's represent this in our place value chart. Now, again, let's line those place values up. And it helps with the decimal. The decimal really helps us. So it's 0.8. So, or we'd read that as 8 tenths. And then we're comparing that, let me use a different color, to 0.706 or 706 thousandths. Now, going back to my blue, you could represent these with zeros, but you do not have to. I'm not going to on this one. And let's just start comparing. Zeros in the ones place, but we have a difference in the tenths place, so we know one of the numbers is greater than the other. Well, it just so happens that 0.8 is greater than 0.7, or 8 tenths is greater than 7 tenths. So we'd read that sentence as 8 tenths is greater than 706 thousandths. All right. All right. Well, now it says, let's read the directions again. And it says use greater than, less than, or equal to compare the following. Use a place value chart to help if necessary. I highly encourage you to use a place value chart and at the very least, to at least line up your numbers. And I'll show you what I mean on this question right here on A. So if I write 16.3 and then I'm comparing it to 16.4, so I'm comparing 16 and 3 tenths to 16 and 4 tenths. Maybe you even heard it in your head right when I was saying it. But let's line those numbers up with the place values, tenths over tenths, ones over ones, tens over tens, and the decimals also lined up. So now we can see it. We're visualizing it without drawing the place value chart. We really just did a place value chart. There's ones in the tens place, 6, oops, I missed that highlighter. 6 in the ones place, decimals are right over top of each other, and then we see a difference. One number has 4 tenths, and the other has 3/10. So 4/10 is always greater than 3/10. So 16.3 is less than 16.4. Reading it, whoops, I didn't mean to take that one away. To read it the right way, it's 16 3/10 is less than 16 4/10. All right, so it's really important to represent these in one form or the other, whether you use both fraction or both decimal, when they're different. So you need to convert one. We're going to convert to decimals because that's the way we're practicing. So we see 0.83 compared to, which is 83 hundredths, compared to also 83 hundredths. You can hear it, but to convert 83 hundredths, we know that I'm using my place value chart, visualizing it, 0 in the ones place, point decimal right there, and then we're going to do 83 hundredths. So that means those are exactly equal. 83 hundredths is equal to 83 hundredths. All right. I'm going to well, I can't pause anymore. I want you to pause and then come back, and we're going to do these rapid fire and try to get through these. All right, so you should have the next 5 done. If you're not comfortable, you're just doing them with me. Well, let's read this number over here. We have 205 thousandths, and over here we have 0.205, which we read as 205 thousandths. So those are equal. Now remember, you got to think about these decimals and fractions in the same form to help yourselves compare them. So I converted this one to 0.205 just because when I read it, I heard the decimal in it, 205 thousandths. All right, so this one I feel like I want to use a place value chart, so I'm just going to line them up with my decimals. So I see 95 and 580 thousandths. And then this number over here is 95 and 58 hundredths. So 95 and 58 hundredths. Now let's try to compare these. Now notice I lined those decimals up. And when I line the decimals up, naturally force the numbers to be lined up in the other place values. Ones over ones, tens over tens. Now it's also important that you write neat in the same size numbers so that the digits fall neatly into those place value hold places. Sorry, I can't talk. All right, so let's start looking at these numbers. 9 tens, 5, oops, missed it again. 5 ones, 5 tenths, 8 hundredths. But there, in this thousandths place, there's no number on the bottom number to hold that place. So we have to think that that's going to be represented by a 0. So these numbers are exactly equal. Great job. All right. So 9.1 and 9.099. If I quickly write those, I can easily see that 9.1 or 9 and 1/10 is greater than 9 and 99 thousandths. All right. So 8 and 3/10 versus 83 tenths. This one, we might need to think about our place value chart for. So quickly draw ourselves a place value chart. And I'm putting the decimal here, so this is tenths right next to it and ones. And I'll leave those other places blank because it looks like we're only dealing with tenths. I'm going to change color to make it easy. 8.3 was our first number we're comparing, and the other one had 83 in the tenths place. I think you see it once we drew it, didn't you? When we have more than 10 in any place value, we have to regroup and shift to the left, which means that these numbers, whoops, sorry, are exactly equal. 8.3 is equal to 83 tenths because all those groups need to be regrouped. So we shifted over to the left. The place to the left is the ones place. So we are left with 8.3 or 8 and 3/10. All right, last one on this little chart. 5 and 8/10 versus 58 hundredths. 5 and 8 tenths versus 58 hundredths. Well, if we think about this, 58 hundredths, well, that's not even one whole number, right? So this one is very easy because that number on the left has 5 ones, and this one doesn't even have one whole number. Great job. All right, let's see what is on page 2. We are cruising. All right, let's keep moving. If you're getting this, keep moving forward and just keep skipping ahead and checking the answers. If not, keep working with me. So now we're on page 2 of the problem set, and we see 36 and 9,000. So it's in word form. So let's quickly rewrite it. 30. Oh, that was a bad one. 36 and, that's where the decimal goes. You can always tell when I'm emphasizing that and 9,000. So let's visualize that place value chart. 9 in the thousands place. So that means there's 0 in the tenths place, 0 in the hundreds, and then 9 in the thousands. All right, versus 4 tens. Now that's in unit form. So we got to rewrite it. So now that we've rewritten it, we know, let's make sure we show the decimal with the 40. So it would be 40 and 0 tenths. We can quickly see that 4 tens is greater than 36 and 9 thousandths. All right, 202 hundredths, 202 hundredths versus 2 hundredths and 2 thousandths. So, oops, I almost messed that up by putting 2 in the tenths place. 2,000. So visualize the place value chart to the right of the decimals. It goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So there's 0 tenths, 0 hundredths, and 2 thousandths. So 200 and 2 thousandths. And over here on the left, we had 202 thousandths. Hundredths, I'm sorry, 202 hundredths over here on the left. Well, let's visualize this in the place value chart because I'm struggling with that 202 thousandths. I keep saying thousandths, 202 hundredths. I'm struggling with that 202 hundredths. So let's put the decimal right here. And if we put 202 in the hundredths place, we know that we have to regroup and we have to shift. So that would put 20 over here, and we have to regroup again. So 2.02. So 2.02, or 2 and 2 hundredths versus 2 hundredths. Well, 200 is always greater than 2 tenths. So to read that, or 2 ones, 2 hundredths is always greater than 2 ones. So 2 and 2 hundredths is less than 2 hundredths and 2 thousandths. All right, I'm gonna quickly clean that up, and I'm just going to represent those answers again. And let's keep moving on. 158,000, 158 thousandths. Be careful that you're noticing the on that to represent that it's a part of a number and not into the thousandths place. Versus 158,000, and there's nothing, and there's no parts of a number. So that quickly can be represented like that because we know that whole number 158,000 wholes is greater than 158 thousandths, which is parts of a number. All right, 4 and 15 hundredths versus 415 tenths. So whenever I see that, I want to represent it in a place value chart. So this would be tenths. I'll make sure I have ones and tens here. Now, if I put 400 in the tenths place, that means I need to shift the 41 to the left. And then I would have to shift again. So it's going to end up with 41 and 5 tenths. So this is 41 and 5 tenths. It's so important to use those place value charts to help you understand everything. So we know 4 tens is greater than 4 ones. So we're representing that number as the greater number with the less than symbol. All right, let's move down here to arrange these numbers, and then we'll move on to the exit ticket. Now this is really important. I like to just line these all up, and we're going to do one group of numbers at a time. It says arrange the numbers in increasing order. So if we're doing it in increasing order, that means we have to start with the smallest number. So let's just line them up over here on the right with the decimal. So let's start with that first number, 3 and 049. So 3 and 49 thousandths. Now let's just keep lining up the decimals and all the other place values. 3 and 59 thousandths. Okay, I can already see which number is greater between those two because I'm lining them up. Let's line up the third number, 3 and 500ths. Now remember, we can represent that blank spot with a 0 in the thousandths place. And then we got 3 and 400ths. We can represent that last place with a 0. Now, let's think about this. Well, they all have 3 in the ones place. Notice our decimals are lined up just to make our lives easy. So that means all of our place values should be lined up. 0 in the tenths place. And all right, now we have some differences. We have 2 numbers with 4 in the hundredths place. So we know that they're the smallest numbers. And then we have 2 numbers with 5 in the hundredths place. So we know that those are going to be the bigger numbers. But we have to go on to the next place, the thousandths place, to figure out what ones are smaller than the others. All right, there we see it. So for our first numbers, we can see that 3.04 is our first number. Our second number is going to be 3.049. We just represent or list them in order from smallest to largest. So in increasing order, we keep putting our numbers separated by commas. And then our next number is going to be 3.05 and then 3.059. Now, just lining them up to the right really helped me. I hope that it helped you. All right, let's do the next one. Let's line them up. 182.205. I'm going to go a little faster on this one. 182.05. Notice lining up those place values is going to be very helpful. Make sure you're writing neat to make this easy on yourself. And I'm just keep working. I'm just keep writing the next number. All right, so now I've listed those 4 numbers. Now I can think about these place value charts, or which is in which place. 1s, 8s, 2s, so they're all equal in the whole parts. Now let's look at the tenths. I see 2 numbers with 0 in the tenths place. So let's just look at those next numbers. So which one of those 2 with the 0 in the tenths place is smaller? Well, yeah, the one that has 2 in the hundredths place is smaller than the one that has 5 in the hundredths place. So let's write that bottom number first. So that's our first number. This will be our second number. All right, so let's write those quickly down. 182 and 25 thousandths. That was a bad 5, wasn't it? And then our second number is 182 and 500ths. So what's our next largest number? Well, let me change highlighters. Well, they both have, whoops. So we have to go back to our tenths place. Well, we've already used this number and this number, so there's only 2 numbers left. Well, one has a 1 in the tenths place and the other has a 2 in the tenths place. Well, the 1 is smaller than 2, so 182.105 or 182 and 105 thousandths. And our last number is 182 and 205 thousandths. Hopefully you're writing neater and you can get all these numbers right on the line. I apologize. All right, last section, last 2 problems. And it is asking us to arrange the numbers in decreasing order, decreasing. So that means we're going to have to start with the largest number. So same steps, but we're just going to have to think about finding the largest number first. So let's line them up. So 7.608, 7.68, 7.6. Oh, I ran out of room, so I'm going to write this other number on the top of these. 7.068. Okay, remember you could represent these empty spaces with zeros. So now let's start comparing. We're looking for the largest number. So 7 in the ones place, or in the wholes. So we have 7 whole numbers, or 7 ones. And let's look at the tenths place. Ooh, I see the number that's the smallest already. So this is going to be our last number up here at the top, because that has 0 in the tenths place. The rest of them have 6 in the tenths place. All right, so now we're still looking for the largest number. Let's go to the next place value. Ooh, do you see it? I see it. Oh no, what happened? Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. Do you see it? Yeah, this is the largest number. So let's go ahead and write that down, because it has 8 in the hundredths place and all the other numbers have 0 in the hundredths place. So 7.68. Right, and then the next number is, well, we have to go to the next place value to figure that out. What's our next largest number? Yeah, and this one, it's going to be this number, because it has 8 in the thousandths place and the other one has 0. So 7.608 is our next largest number. And that would, when we know that this top number is our smallest, that must mean that this number is next, 7.6, followed by 7.068. Great job. All right, I need to take this and, oh no, uh-oh. Mr. Briggs, don't do that. I guess I can't really do that. I'm going to write these numbers underneath this problem and line them up. But these are bigger numbers. I see 439 and parts of numbers. So let's start with 439 and 216 thousandths. Remember, let's line these up. Let's be neat. 439 and 126. Hopefully you're already starting to be able to see which number is smaller and which one's greater. Remember, we're doing this part in decreasing order, so we're looking for the largest number to start with. The third number, 439 and 612. And then the last one, 439 and 261 thousandths. Okay. Now I can see all my whole parts are 439. So that's all equal. So we're looking at the decimals to compare these. Okay. Again, we're looking for the largest number to start with. So let's look at the tenths place. I can see that there's 2 numbers with 2 in the tenths place, 1 number with 1 in the tenths place, and a number with a 6 in the tenths place. So I can already see the largest number. And then I can also see the smallest number. And then I can see 2 numbers that we have to go a little bit further to represent. So let's represent that largest number first, 400, because we're doing it in decreasing order, 439 and 612 thousandths. So we know this is last. Okay, so let's think about the other 2 numbers. Which one would be the next largest? Well, the next largest, well, let's look at the next place. Well, that has a 1 in the hundredths place. This has a 6 in the hundredths place. Which one's larger, 6 or 1? Yeah, absolutely, the 6. So let's go ahead and represent that, 439 and 261 thousandths, which must mean that this number is the next largest, 439 and 216 thousandths. And I'm just going to write this last number underneath because I ran out of room. Hopefully you didn't, because you're writing neater and with pencil. that is our lesson, and that is our problem set. So great job, guys. Go ahead and move on to the exit ticket and try your best there. And I am going to get on to recording our next lesson. So great job, and I'll see your exit tickets submitted to Schoology. Where's my stop record button?